Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Live with Mel. This episode is brought to you by Yellow Cab Company of DC. If you're looking to avoid rideshare prices, then check out the Yellow Cab Company of DC when you are in the nation's capital. On Saturday in Texas, a man held 4 people hostage. The standoff lasted for about 10 hours. Now, the act of terror occurred at the Congressional Beth Israel. Now, the FBI has identified the person. The person is Malik Fasil Akram, a 44-year-old man. Now, this person is a UK national. This person did come in on a tourist visa a few weeks ago into the United States. Now, he flew in to JFK, which is an airport in New York City, and eventually made his way to Texas. Now, while he was in Texas, he actually stayed at a homeless shelter for a few days, and he checked in and out. Now, this status as being a homeless person was also the way that he was able to gain entry into the synagogue. Now, Akram initially gained access to the synagogue because he stated that he was a homeless man. And from the way that he was living, from him being in the homeless shelter, he was allowed in. Now, on Saturday, January 15th, the synagogue was live streaming its Shabbat services. And you can hear him on the live services. So I'm gonna play some audio because this is what was captured during the live service.
But I want to okay, listening. I don't want you to cry. Listen, I'm going to release these 4 guys once they bring that doctor up here. My sister doctor up here. So then I'm going to go in the yard, yeah, and then I'm going to have you up and they're going to kill me, all right? I'm going to die at the end of this, all right? Are you listening? I am going to die. Okay, so don't cry over me.
Now, at this point, we don't know exactly who he was speaking to, but you could hear him during the live stream because, again, the live stream was of the Shabbat services, and that's when he came in and took the 4 hostages, which included the rabbi. Now, the live stream has been taken down. It's no longer available, but we have been able to grab several clips. Now, with this, he came in, he took the 4 hostages, and what he wanted to do and what he was demanding was the release of Afi Sidaki. Now, many people in the United States aren't too familiar with who she is, but many terrorist organizations do hold her to a high esteem. Now, she is actually a Pakistani neuroscientist. She actually studied in the States, but she was convicted of attempted murder of U.S. Army officials. Now, again, she did study in the United States. She did have ties to the United States, but she also is believed to have ties to Al-Qaeda as well. Now, during this hostage situation, Akram wanted to speak to her, and he also wanted people to release her. Now, she was arrested in 2008, and U.S. Army officials found on her plans to manufacture dirty bombs. When she was being interrogated in July of 2008, she went ahead and found a rifle and attempted to shoot the Army officers who were interrogating her, and that's why she's serving the sentence. Now, Akram chose this position, this synagogue, because of its location. Now, Siddiqui she's actually 20 miles away from the synagogue. So it looks as though the purpose of holding the people hostage at the synagogue may not be due to religion, but to the proximity of where Siddiqui is actually being held. Now, she's being held on an 86-year prison term. Now, there's a lot of information slowly coming out about this hostage situation. Again, the hostage situation happened on Saturday. when the hostages were released, when the FBI did eventually come in with SWAT, the victim was killed. Now, they're not releasing who shot the victim, so they don't know which FBI SWAT member shot not the victim, the terrorist. They don't know exactly who shot him, but none of the hostages were injured. They were eventually all released. And one of the hostages was the rabbi. Now, Rabbi Charlie Crichton Walker stated, in the last hour of the hostage crisis, the gunman became increasingly belligerent and threatening. Without the instructions we received, we would not be able to prepare to act and flee when the situation presented itself. Now, again, the FBI did come in. They shot and killed the terrorist who was holding the people hostage at the synagogue. But now a bigger investigation is happening at the moment. The investigation is happening here in the United States and across the pond as well. Now, because he was a UK citizen, the United States is partnering up with officers in the United Kingdom to find out more information. And that was part of the reason that we were able to identify who this man was. Now, police officers in Manchester arrested 2 teenagers as well in connection with this terrorist hostage situation. They arrested them and they're interrogating them at the moment, and they are working together. Now, again, this was with the counter-terrorist organization in Manchester, and they're trying to dig a little deeper to see what's going on and if he is connected to any bigger terrorist organizations. Again, his biggest demand was the release of Sadaki, and at the time, obviously that wasn't going to happen. But they're trying to see if there is any other motive for him taking the 4 hostages during Shabbat services. Now, his brother did come out with a statement. His brother did come out and apologize to the victims of the hostage situation. And he also stated that Akram had mental health issues. So while many people are looking at this as acts of terror, there may be some mental health issues going on as well. But again, they're going to have to dig deeper, and it's going to be harder to find information because of the fact that he was shot and killed by the FBI. Now, this standoff that happened in Texas it was about 10 to 11 hours. There was over 200 law enforcement officials who came in and dealt with the situation. Now, it was very good that none of the hostages were harmed, but as time continued to go by, from the beginning of the hostage situation to the end, we could see that Akram was becoming more agitated. He was becoming more belligerent. And again, none of his demands were really being met. And it seems as though he was running out of patience and running out of time. And that is when the FBI decided to storm in because of his belligerent behavior, because he was acting a little erratic, which may go back to the fact that he may have mental health issues, like his brother was stating. Now, again, with any type of hostage situation, any type of terror situation, at the end of the day, they want to make sure that the victims of the hostages do come out safely, and they did eventually all come out safely. The first hostage was released around 5 p.m., and then the rest of the hostages were able to leave the situation when the FBI did storm in and eventually take control of the hostage situations. Now, again, initially we didn't know who the gentleman was who was holding the hostages or what the motives are, but he has now been identified. He has now been identified as Akram, and again, he is a UK citizen. Now, many people are saying, how did he actually gain access into the United States? Because he is from the United Kingdom. Now, a few weeks ago, he came into the United States on a tourist visa. So he is coming in as a tourist. He was not on any watch list. He was not on any watch list, and when he was vetted, he was allowed through. When he came into the States, He essentially kept a very, very low profile. He wasn't in the position of trying to make noise. It doesn't even look as though he had proper lodging, like I stated at the beginning of the broadcast. He flew in through New York, JFK Airport, and eventually made his way down to Dallas. When he did make his way down to Dallas, again, like I stated earlier in the broadcast, his lodging was essentially homeless shelters. He was staying at a homeless shelter in Dallas. He was staying at a homeless shelter and again, keeping a very low profile. Many people wouldn't have even known he was there on a tourist visa or that he was essentially a tourist because they just thought he was another homeless man. And even to gain access to the synagogue, he continued with this facade of being a homeless person and gain access to the synagogue because he stated that he was a homeless person, sources are saying. Now, Deborah says, so tired of law enforcement shooting to kill versus shooting to injure or disarm. Now, again, we don't know exactly what he had. So I will say this. Keeping him alive would have provided a lot more information. A lot of times when these attacks occur, where you're basically just waiting to find information, you have to do an investigation. But when the suspect is taken alive, it is easier to draw out information. Since the suspect was not taken alive, the investigation is going to be a little bit harder. But between the FBI, between local enforcements, and between the counter-terrorist officers in Manchester, they are finding out information. They are really digging in and looking towards the motive and how everything just occurred with this situation. Now, again, a lot of the reason he was able to move around and gain access is because he was posing as a homeless person for several days. Now, again, when he flew into the United States, he wasn't on any watch list. He wasn't one to make a lot of noise or a lot of splash. He came in, tourist visa, made his way to Dallas, and then did this. And again, many people were thinking that this could have possibly been a situation where it was religiously motivated, but it looks as though Akram chose the synagogue because of the proximity to the jail that Sadaki is in. Now, again, that was one of his main demands. He could be heard on live stream. He could be heard on live stream trying to get Sadaki out. He wanted her released and he wanted to speak to her. And because that jail was so close, many people believe that's the reason why he chose the synagogue, not for any other religious type of reason, but because it was very close. And again, he did want to speak to her, but again, that was not going to be allowed. There was no way that the FBI was going to allow the two of them to communicate. Now, another thing that he did mention during the live stream that could be heard said is that he said that that is his sister. Now, with that information coming out saying that that is his sister, many people believe that they may not be related by blood, and he may just be saying sister as a term of endearment, and that may not necessarily be her blood brother. Now, again, another reasons why investigators think that is because if it was someone closely related to her, they would probably be on a watch list, and getting into the United States may be hard. And if they were actually related by blood, once he did come into the United States, he probably would have been monitored. But again, more and more information is coming out about the case day by day. FBI's did find out his name, did find out who he is. It's looking as though the motivation for this was for the release of Sadaki. And again, Malik Fasil Akram, a 44-year-old man from the UK. Across the pond, the Manchester counter-terrorist organizations have arrested 2 teenagers who are tied to this as well. Now, the Manchester counter-terrorist organization, they have not released the names, the ages, or the genders of the suspects that they arrested in the UK. But again, more and more information is slowly coming out, and we should have a bigger picture as to what happened in Texas on Saturday, and not only just a bigger picture of what happened, but more behind the motive, and to see if there is a larger organization connected towards this hostage situation, or if this just was one man who was demanding things on his own. Again, his brother came out, apologized to the victims, to the hostages, and also stated that Akram also suffers from mental health illness. So this whole thing could be someone who is mentally ill, who was possibly radicalized. But again, we won't know until more information comes out, and the FBI is working in conjunction with the Manchester Counter-Terrorist Organization. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will keep you updated about everything that's happening with this case. Again, the suspect was killed. So we won't be hearing from him exactly what happened because, again, the FBI did kill him, but they are running an investigation. And as soon as more information comes out about this case, I will keep you guys informed. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Mel. I come live every single Monday through Wednesday to talk to you guys and bring you current events and also hear what you guys think about what's going on. Your opinion matters. Let me know what your thoughts are about this case. Let me know what your thoughts are about everything that occurred with this. Lindsay gives a thumbs up. Thank you so much for tuning in, Lindsay. And I will see each and every single one of you bright and early tomorrow morning. Let me know what your thoughts are about what happened in Texas, and happy MLK Day to everyone. I will see everyone bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a great day, guys.